And welcome back to the Rock Shop Podcast. Joining me tonight is a very special guest, and his name is.
Oh, hi. Hey, what's up? It's me, Jim Gisriel. How's it going?
Hey Jim, how you doing? Thanks for being on.
Good, good. How are you doing?
Doing well, man. Haven't done this in a while, but trying to break hiatus, and I got a really special guest to start.
Oh, wow. Who's
So,
that? Is that me? Okay.
no, it's me. I've
Oh,
been on hiatus, so technically I'm a
yeah,
guest if
that's
I'm.
true. That's true. I'll interview you.
Tell us about yourself, Jim.
Oh,
Brings you here.
I'm Jim. I have a YouTube channel where I review movies and talk about film and animation and whatever media thing I would like to talk about, basically. And I post probably way too much. And I make music, cartoons, any creative thing I would like, but mainly movie reviews and talking about film and television and all that good stuff.
Nice. I'll tell you, Jim does a spectacular job doing it.
No, thank you.
Um, he has a really great style with his reviews, I got to say. I've been following, your channel for many years now. I think
Oh,
around 2015, 16. So it's been a while.
oh wow. Thank you.
But no, yeah, thank you. No, just terrific reviews. And I got to say, it's not like the typical YouTube reviewer. You've got your own kind of style, and it's
Oh,
it's very unpretentious, I'd say. You just say it kind of how it is. You're definitely analytical,
mhm.
but it's not so stuffy. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I try not to be. I do probably go into the pretentious a bit, but I try to like explain it because I do. I don't know. I don't like it when people tell you something and they don't explain it and they just expect you to figure it out. Kind of annoys me personally. So I think it's a lot of it's a lot of that kind of thing.
That's what I kind of mean. There's not a whole lot of ambiguity with what you mean, and you explain your thoughts. Sometimes like I like the AV Club.
Hmm.
I've been reader of theirs for a long time, but sometimes I'll watch a movie they reviewed, and I'll be like, well, where did they come to that conclusion? Where they
Yeah,
come with that critique?
I would I try to well that's actually that is something I don't like about criticism. But what I do like about criticism in general, and one of my kind of idols is Pauline Kael, and what there's a review of hers, and this sounds weird, but she reviewed Halloween, and she did not like Halloween, but she explained it so well. I was like, you got the movie. Like she was like, this is made by people who've watched too many movies and too much TV. And I was like, well, yeah, that's Halloween, Pauline Kael. And I think it's like you should it at the heart of it, you should explain your perspective and where you're coming from. And if you fully can, if someone can be like fuck this guy for not liking, sorry, I hope I can curse.
You
uh
can.
okay.
Fucking A, you can.
Okay. Sorry. No, if you're like fuck this guy, but I get where he's coming from. You don't want to be like what where is this coming from? And you don't want that. And part of it is explaining, because that's all you have in general in art and everything, from music to everything, is explaining your perspective. And I don't know, well, not there's many different ways to make art, but I think about that a lot when I'm talking about something, is how to, like, I'm gonna review Beetlejuice later tonight, and I've been
Nice.
thinking, or the first one, I haven't seen, I'm gonna see
Oh,
the new one tomorrow. But I was just going over like, oh, how do I explain Beetlejuice? And it's like a weird movie to explain, or like explain my experience with, and not explain Beetlejuice. You could just watch Beetlejuice for that. But yeah, I try to do that basically. Sorry, that was a long-winded answer, but I answered it. So there we go.
but no, it's good, and you have fun with it. Only the reals remember your Trolls review from many moons ago. That was a classic.
Yes. Yes. That's one that's come back to me a few times, especially now having a kid. And they're like, "Hey, have you checked out the movie Trolls?" And I was like, no, Dan, don't look it up, because I don't want to deal with that. I called it fascist, but I don't disagree with it because I've heard other people, and now that I have kids, before I made that, I didn't. But yes, I called the first troll film fascist. So I mean, I'm okay with that. It's trolls, whatever. Fuck them.
Yeah, I've never seen any of those movies,
You don't need the second one is the best it gets. But if you don't want to, you don't need to.
but it's a good turning point to a larger discussion I want to bring up. Speaking of which is so I'm 26. I'm a very
Okay.
old man.
Okay. All right.
A
Sorry.
pretty ancient Gen Zer.
Okay.
Yeah. And usually the people on here, they come on, it's about people my age.
Mm-hmm.
And a lot of them don't watch animation. They're not really animation fans. And I've been, enthusiast for a very long time.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I mean, the most discussion we have, I have my buddy who just became a dad a few years ago,
Mm-hmm.
and he'll be like, "Well, I like Bluey." I was like, "I can't comment on that.
Oh, you
That's
haven't
more of
watched
a
Bluey?
no, I'm not a dad."
You can. Well, I think you could. I think it's a good show. I know people who watch it who don't have kids, but it's a calming show. I don't know. It's not as hot right now, but there hasn't been a new episode in a while. So
Yeah, my dad friends are all about that Bluey. I'm like, I can't relate to that.
I mean, I we did the Bluey, and then we move on, but it's more based on the kid interests than my own animation interests, which are vary from the kids. You know.
I never have like a bona fide animation guy on here, and I'm just so excited because that's
Oh, okay.
my forte, man.
What
I'm
would you
really
like
into
to
that.
talk about?
I guess what I usually talk about whenever I have like someone on talk about some subject is just the state of things.
The state of
State of
animation?
it's in shambles. That's kind of my
Yes,
opinion.
yes and no, because I think the product that's coming out is really good, and the success, like we look at the success of in the last year, like the Emmys just went out night last night, the Creative
I
Arts
think it
Emmys, I
was,
guess.
yeah.
Yeah, and looking at that group of nominees outside of I really lost track of Bob's Burgers, so I can't really say about that. And The Simpsons just I think gets in there by default for some reason. I don't whatever about that. But having Scavenger's Reign, Blue Eyed Samurai, and X-Men 97, and I know regardless of how you feel about them, I feel like that to me was kind of a success because not only were those great, I think all those I haven't seen as much Blue Eye Samurai, but the other two I've seen a lot of or all of, and I thought they were great. And to actually cross to the mainstream, and even like with Spider Verse last summer being a hit, and not just with kids. Like when I saw it with my daughter, I think she was the youngest person in the theater. It was all high school kids and college kids and stuff. So I do think audience wise it's getting better. How it's run administratively is really bad. That's not good. Or the Coraline success, that's amazing, frankly,
Oh
that
yeah.
Henry Selick now has two films that this is the second year Coraline's been re-released to even more success. Nightmare Before Christmas, I don't know the re-release date, but if it doesn't get re-released this year, it's going to happen another year. And that he has two films that get successfully re-released and make money is, especially for stop motion, where like, whoa, that is not a financial stronghold. But I do agree with what's going on with how they're not treating people as well. I know so many people who created shows who aren't making new ones or aren't able to make new ones because the studios aren't letting them. How no one has jobs anymore. I mean, that's like becoming a thing with both film criticism and animation. I feel like most of my feed is, can someone please send money to my GoFundMe? And I don't, I mean, I don't think there are enough dollars I could ever have to pay all those GoFundMe's. And that side of it is not good at all. I do have faith in like even also Inside Out 2's success this summer.
That was
Um,
shocking
yeah,
how
that
big it was.
but I think every box office analyst said the same thing, and I do not think any studio listened, which was you don't get Inside Out 2 without having Inside Out 1. And I think Pixar has figured that out before because they are developing original stuff. but they're still doing sequels. But if I was a studio, like I would be like, yeah, they have a point actually. Like I would be looking at like I haven't seen the Wild Robot, but I would be like, that needs to, if we want to do a Wild Robot 2, we need to make sure this is successful. And I do think the industry is not setting up theatrically as many original successes. Like I know so many kids who've seen Ruby Gillman and really like it, but that sort of came and went, or barely came and went to most audiences. So I think there needs to be more prioritization theatrically on original, because we're losing that, and we're gonna get. I mean, some of it is like, look, Wish was not good. Some of it is, some of
Yeah.
these things stink. I'm not gonna act like everyone is a great film, but yeah, how they're running these studios is not good. How they're treating them, the fact that strikes happen, and what happened to the Cartoon Network studios, and Cartoon Network's completely devalued, and like not even a, like Cartoon Network is a brand the way MTV is a brand presently, where MTV, you see t-shirts everywhere, but if you turn on MTV, I mean, I don't think you're going to see many music videos. Cartoon Network's not maybe that bad, but I don't know any kids who are like, I can't wait to watch this branded Cartoon Network thing, so I think it is, I would say it is bad, and I'm sure there's animators who will in the comments get mad at me for saying there are successes and there are things that I haven't seen in my lifetime be as successful as it is, and I think we should be happy about that. But um it's not moving behind the scenes in a great direction. I mean, I'm not gonna, I worry about, like, I mean, Scavenger's Reign was a hit because it went to another streaming service, and it doesn't look like it's gonna come back for another one. And like X-Men 97, I mean, the behind the scenes of that was a real mess. And Pixar and Leica apparently aren't great places to work, and Warner Brothers doesn't know what to do with the Looney Tunes, even though they had a great run of Looney Tunes. I mean, it's just like, I feel like if you had a smart executive, he would be like, wait a second, if we treat these people well, we could like make a lot of money. And like that opportunity is there. But I also think it's because people disrespect that medium quite frequently, and it's not, I don't think it is made for, it worked out well in the end.
It's so interesting because we don't know how good we had it, 10 years ago.
Oh yeah.
Um, I don't know if you can, I know you did a great video on, I believe you did a video on auteur theory, just what
Yes.
exactly it is.
Yeah.
Um, I don't know if you could call like Steven Universe, Adventure Time like auteur shows, but they're definitely creatively driven shows with personalities behind them and,
Yeah.
unique voices. And, I think, people, even people outside animation, um, people genuinely respected shows like that. And there were just plenty back in the day, back 10 years ago. And I don't know if it's just, cable's dead, but it is so bizarre to me. You just see, like the Clone High reboot, like you have something that was, people were rediscovering it in 2020, and then all of a sudden it was greenlit. Um, you've got something like that where that's not original, but you had a lot of the right people together, and you see just Max squandering it. And then on the flip side, they had something completely original, close enough,
Yeah.
and you can't even watch that legally anymore. That was
No.
an original show by a big creator.
I
Um,
mean, I think it's also, they're not, I do feel like they're not putting these things out in the best way. I don't think they're promoting them. I don't think they know how to promote them
yeah,
a lot of the time. But like look at Carol at the End of the World. I know had the, and I've complained about this on my stream a bunch of times, and I sound like a broken record, but anything that comes out between Thanksgiving and New Year's, if you're not a big movie, do not expect to break out. That is the worst time to break out. And that's a show. And the reason I bring this up, although I agree with you on Close Enough and stuff, is so many times, because I didn't get to do a full review. I just did a short little the YouTube short on it, and people keep watching it, and people have come up to me about it and stuff. And it feels like if they'd given that show like a real chance, not during the holidays when there's a lot of distractions and bigger media hitting you at the time, that could have blossomed more. But it got like kind of like all the audience like tempered in, and obviously they're not gonna. I didn't actually finish the show, to be honest with you, because I was too busy and I had to move on. And I think Close Enough had a similar thing where like I knew people who were starting to watch it at the end, and they're like, "Well, I don't know, we don't need this." And I think if they had like really promoted it, but promotion's so different now. You can't just have a big ad on Thursday night and hope the weekend makes up for it, you know? I
Yeah.
think I don't know if they know how to promote it, but like I don't know, if you put JG Quintel on like Hot Ones or something, I'm sure that would have been funny. And like I'm sure kids who knew regular show would have been like, "Oh, I'll check that out." But that's just not the real state of how it's going. I don't know the answer to that, but they are killing these shows and they're not giving them a chance. But I also think Max is bad at promoting things. And
Agreed.
but a lot of that stuff, but then like Netflix people seem to be much more open to, and Netflix's interface is garbage. So I'm always confused by how why did Netflix get to take why does Scavenger's Reign get to do well on Netflix? Because it wasn't hard to find on Max. But again, I don't know because those things are geared towards the audience, and obviously they're like, oh well, this is the dork that's gonna watch that. So let's just put this front and center, you know. So I don't know.
I think
But
it's just harder to even predict what'll be a big hit. Like, I was sure that Inside Out 2 would make money. I didn't watch the original until recently, and I still hadn't seen the second one.
mhm.
Um, but I did not expect it to make that much money. It's just weird, like what becomes a massive hit. And there's some things where, I'll see a trailer, and I'll think like, oh, that'll be big with a certain niche or a general audience, like Lisa Frankenstein. Um,
Yeah.
that looked like I was like, this is gonna be a big sleeper hit, and that wasn't.
No, well that you know what the thing with that specific, I can speak to that one specifically. I didn't I mean, some of it is just nobody has as much time as they used to. Like I wanted to see it in theaters. I ended up not being able to just because of time. But the other thing is like I showed my wife and I've recommended to people who've ended up liking it who are not horror fans, and it did not sell to non-horror fans until it was on Prime. And I was like, well, that's a mistake because everyone I know who was like, I don't know, I think it's also, and it's a female-centered horror movie with a very, I think it's pretty much all female creative team. And unfortunately, Hollywood works under precedent in terms of marketing, which by the I think is bullshit because if you majored in marketing and that's your job, I think you should be able to come up with new ways to market things. I'm really annoyed with marketing in major studios because they're always like, well, precedent. And I'm like, well, who's making precedent anymore? It feels like you're all
Yeah.
just like, why can't I promote Lisa Frankenstein the way I promoted Night Swim? And they're like, well, those are different movies. I don't understand. But the hope in that, and also with Lisa Frankenstein, I think it's finding its audience. It was a cult made movie. Those things always do better. You know, Heather's did better on VHS, like all that kind of stuff does better. But I don't know if you read about, I did not see this movie, but the promotion for the film Tarot was really interesting.
I'm familiar. Yeah, I didn't watch it though. I don't
But
have time.
they no, I don't know. I know more people. I've read more about the marketing and people than the movie sounded bad, but they put all their marketing into digital and went to TikTok and stuff, and it just kept holding on. But that's the other thing is movies aren't even targeted. They're not actually targeted at your demo anymore. They're targeted at my demo now. And and people are always like, "Well, hasn't it always been that way?" I'm like, "Not really. It used they used to want you guys, and I don't know what happened. I'm not blaming anyone in their 20s or that I think the studios gave up, but Tarot over made money basically, and it's because they didn't spend money on football games. They spent money on TikTok and other online stuff, and were smart about it, and it helped the movie grow. And I was like, I thought that was the story of the year in terms of marketing because they showed like digital is a real thing you can invest in, and I think that's a smart way to do it. Not just having like Jake Paul say your movie's cool. Like I think it was a little more than that. And they were smart about it, and they just kept adding to it, and they made a lot more money with a lot less. marketing because they were smart, So
Jim, you do not want like studios pandering to Gen Z. They'll be getting shit like Oppenheimer is so brat.
I well, I want younger people to see movies because if they don't, the future is not going to look good for
True.
movies. I mean, it's they don't need to say Oppenheimer. It's Brett Summer with Oppenheimer or do this like the Barbenheimer thing, which they keep saying with stuff. Which I'm like, I don't think that's going to work again. But I think with Tarot it worked out. And if I was a studio with a horror movie, I would be like going over that marketing plan with a fine-tooth comb and going like, well, how do I advertise like the front room with Brandy? I don't know how well that did. I haven't looked at the
Not very
boxes.
well.
Yeah, but I thought Brandy's, kind of coming back and she was in a Descendants movie, which a lot of people saw, and like you have all that. And like if you had marketed it better, but you're also opening against Beetlejuice, so I don't know why they did that. That's on them on that one. But whatever.
I will say, I really liked Smiles promotional campaign. That was really cool.
I agree. I love that with the people smiling in the baseball
Yeah.
games and all. They did that was a very good. I like that as well. I agree with that. That
I
was
don't
a
know
good
if
one.
they're doing the same thing for Smile 2, but I think Smile 2 actually genuinely has a pretty interesting premise. The
Yes.
trailer's pretty cool. I'll go with that. I thought the trailer for Smile 1 was awful, and I thought it looked terrible. I was pleasantly surprised.
There's things about that movie I wish they had done more, but I was like, it's such an interesting concept and like, oh man, that was a good. We're in a very good horror time between that and Barbarian. I think we're around the same time and
And this past weekend's big film,
yeah,
Reagan.
that was a scary. I didn't see it, but I don't really want
I
to. I lived
I
through it
saw it,
already.
so you don't have to. Jim, I was going to see Beetlejuice 2, but
Yeah.
I went on a first date instead. And
Okay.
we had one lined up for Friday.
Hmm.
And the girl was like, I'm not really feeling this.
Oh,
So,
sorry.
yeah, that's life. So that Friday, I didn't have any plans. I was like, well, I was going to go on a date, but I'm going to do the exact opposite thing I would possibly do than go
Okay.
out with a woman. I'm going to see Reagan alone in the theater.
Was it? How bad was it?
It was awful, man. It was baffling.
I mean,
Uh, the Daily Wire has a movie coming out, a Ben Shapiro Borat ripoff, and that'll be epic. We've got an awesome double feature
oh, jeez,
potential coming here.
jeez.
I only watch slop nowadays, Jim. It is
I mean, I don't mind when people watch slop because it is fun. I've been wanting to watch that Mickey Mouse slasher film. It's like been sitting
ooh,
on my hard drive. I'm like, I really want to. I kind of regret not going more into the public domain slasher thing. Like I should have seen. I know everyone hates Pooh, Blood, and Honey, but I'm like, come on, I want these films to exist. These studios deserve shitty slasher movies based on their IP, based on all the people they've sued. But if I was going to make a Mickey Mouse slasher, it'd be different than I think they would. I would have a Bywork stabbing Walt Disney or something like that. I think that would have been much more entertaining.
I just watch shitty Republican biopics slop,
I did that with the documentaries a long time ago.
like the
With
Dinesh stuff.
the Dinesh D'Souza, I did
Yeah,
two of them,
I can't do that now. That's where I
and
draw a line.
yeah, I well then it became like the second one. I think it was just called America, and it was like I don't know. It just I guess it would best be said as like vibes were off. Where I was like, this is just like, do I want this to be my life? Like I'm just gonna see every Dinesh D'Souza movie and I don't know. And at some point you will go like I almost saw that Daily Wire what was it, Die Hard thing. And
Oh yeah, yeah,
I
yeah.
was like, that's not a bad conceptually. That seemed like an okay idea. Because they before they bought it, it was like a rap, like people were aware of it. And then they bought it and I was like, okay, I kind of get what this is now if Daily Wire bought it and then I didn't see it. And I also don't like those. I don't want to support them because part of their, not to scare you. Sorry, I don't want to scare you and freak you
Yeah.
out. but
Uh,
part of their part of their grift, this is a real thing. This is not a conspiracy theory, but they sort of do. They've learned that like when Ben Shapiro did WAP, basically, when he did
oh,
all that WAP stuff,
that was
and
fire.
everyone's like laughing, but what they realized is someone, and not a tiny percent, but it's a percent they want, will be laughing and be like, "Oh yeah, now I watch his show ironically," and you're like, "What the fuck? You watch the show ironically? What the fuck
And
does
then
that
they
mean?"
become like,
They
yeah,
become, yeah. So it's like they
regular viewers.
actually. So I would say I didn't become. I'm not conservative, but I would say be careful because they will use their tentacles of you making fun of them to like lure you in. Basically, it's like creepy, but
Yeah, Reagan was boring. Don't watch it. But it was uniquely awful. I watch a lot of biopics. It's hard because I honestly don't even think it's the worst film of the year. Now they got the rare AV Club F, which is I feel
what do
like
you
I'm obligated to watch all those Fs. That's
what do you think is the
funny.
worst film of the year? I'm curious.
Oh yeah, worse than that. I think there's a worse biopic, and that's I seriously think Unfrosted might be worse. Unfrosted just pissed me off.
I didn't see Unfrosted because I thought it would piss me off.
It
So that
pissed me off. So
because I don't get to see as many movies as I used to. I feel like I don't get as mad at stuff. So I'm like, I guess I go with Madam Web right now, but I'm like, that's such a typical one. Forget what now I have to think of like what I've even seen this year. There's probably like something I hate
there was
more.
like one even shittier one. I'm gonna look it up real quick.
Now I'm like looking up like what did I see? What came out this year? But it was like I don't know. That has definitely changed over time as I used to like see so many things and I'd have like so many movies to be this is shit. And now I
Yeah.
know. Oh,
Oh, yeah,
The
that looked
Crow.
awful.
Uh, I'm trying to see. Despicable Me 4 wasn't great, but it's not like so horrible.
Borderlands, I saw that.
I see. I did. I almost saw Borderlands, but I did. Yeah, I think it's more just I don't have the time to see all the. But The Crow was bad, but it could have. There was potential in part of it, but then they just gave up on that to
Yeah.
make it John Wick, which was like he's like not he's like, I don't know how to do this. Like, I'm suddenly the superhero. How do I do this? And they like don't tell him, and eventually, like, whatever. Who the fuck cares? You're John Wick now. Leave me alone. Like, just, just be gory and stuff, man. We need to sell some tickets. Like,
You, Turbo Slop, I started getting into was how do you feel about Trauma? Do you watch Trauma movies? You like them?
a long time ago. Like, I've seen Sergeant Kabuki Man, which is probably very offensive, but at the time, I don't know. I've seen Toxic Avenger. I've seen, I think it's like The Revenge of the Cat Women or something. I've seen
Yeah, I
probably
know what
four or
you're
five.
talking
Yeah.
I watched those like Poultrygeist is really fucking funny.
Oh
That
my
one's still I don't like a whole lot of them. I don't like the earlier stuff, but you'll sometimes you'll get a gem like Tromeo and Juliet, the James Gunn one. That is fucking cinema right there.
I have wanted to go more into the as I was going through his earlier stuff more recently, like Slither and Super, and I was like, man, he is kind of a weirder when you go through it. First off, what's I don't know, he's a weird one because I think everyone says like he did a lot of trauma, but direction wise, almost everything he's done is a comic book thing, other than Slither. And then his writing stuff's the trauma. Anyway, I find him to be interesting. I want to go through. I think he wrote a superhero thing for Trauma, and he wrote Romeo and Juliet. Right? I need to go through more of those because those
He
are.
he
He's an
feels
interesting
like
auteur.
he feels like if Kevin Smith never fell off, like this is probably what he'd be doing,
No,
right?
I think I I I think you're giving too much credit to Kevin Smith. I think Kevin Smith. Um. Well, I don't know. I think Kevin Smith's biggest mistake is he. Well, Clerks was an accident. Is my thing with
Yeah.
Kevin Smith. Is Clerks was like even he's like no one's ever going to do that again, and he's right. But I also think he was not the guy who would see Clerks. Clerks was an outlier for him, and you can tell when you see Mallrats who he really is. And it's like if you were smart, when I rewatched and reviewed his stuff in the last couple of years, I was like, wouldn't it make more sense if Mallrats they were just hanging out at the mall and like not that much stuff happened? Like, wouldn't that be the follow up to Clerks? And I think that kind of showed. Also, it's like he had so many chances, and he did fall off pretty. I haven't seen the 4:30 movie. Maybe he brings it back in with that, but
That looks cute. I'll give it
yeah,
that.
yeah. I think James Gunn's better than director than Kevin Smith, but I think yeah, Kevin Smith did. I mean, Jay and Silent Bob, the sequel was pretty bad.
Oh my God. Yeah. That I
And
saw that during the pandemic and that just depressed me even further.
I mean, I don't know, Clerks 3 is better than Clerks 2, I
This
guess,
is
but
okay.
yeah, he's just not. I don't know if he had a game plan. I think he made a movie that became a huge indie movie, and he was smart about the nerd stuff. And then he was like, "Oh shit, I'm here. What do I do? I
I'll
don't
tell
know."
you, I saw him live. He does that whole speaking tour
Yeah.
thing. He came to Atlanta where I'm based out of, and
Mhm.
well, it took too long. I mean, he was like hitting the 3 hour mark, and he was like not stopping. Um, but he is a tremendous public speaker.
Oh
I'll
yeah,
give him that.
I saw him. I think it was in 2000. It was right before Clerks, the show came out. Um, and yeah, he went on forever, and he was like really fun and really funny and
So
like.
personable too.
Oh yes, yes. I think. I mean, he signed my comics and wrote like a personalized thing on it and like all this stuff, and it was like, it was just and it was amazing, like the whole thing. And I was much more of a fan in 2000 than, and this is right after Dogma, so he seemed like the coolest guy ever. But I still listen to, if he's on a podcast, I'll listen to it. So I mean, to this day, even though I've heard he has so many stories though, it's like
Oh yeah.
I think I heard him on one. I was like, I didn't know that. Okay, cool. And I like how he is with his daughter, and like, I think he seems like a cool dude. So, but it is interesting. He's had an interesting career. You know, he's very
So
lucky, but
so I do stand up and I've wanted to tell a story, but
okay.
I can't really make it in a stand up joke, you know what I mean?
Okay.
But once upon a time I was prancing around a neighborhood
Hmm.
and it was a garage sale. I
Hmm.
was just skipping down the street
Okay.
and I was, I like getting DVDs, Blu-rays, whatever. But like then I go and I kind of baby out. I was like, do I really want this copy of Green Lantern
Hmm.
now? Even if it's for $1. But I go to this one house and they have Sin City on Blu-ray. That's a guilty pleasure of mine.
Hmm.
They had some they had Robin Hood, the 30s one on Blu-ray,
Oh, these
sealed. And
sound
I was
good.
like, I love
I
that
like
one.
I like this garage sale so far.
They had I still haven't taken it out of the wrapping. I haven't seen it, but Dr. Horrible sing-along blog on Blu-ray.
Oh
Like
yeah,
that is a
wow.
deep cut.
I mean, maybe for you, but for me, it was such a big thing for a couple of years that,
Man, I missed it. But I was like, this is kind of weird, but it's $1. They had
yeah.
mother fucking Dogma on Blu-ray, factory sealed.
Wow. Did you buy it?
I bought it for like $1 and I didn't even know
Wow.
how valuable it was. But I just nerded out in the fucking garage, like
Yeah.
talking to other like people, like, oh my God, I love Watchmen. It's and I like Watchmen. It's all
Yeah.
right. It's my favorite book, not to be that guy. Um,
It's a good book.
It's a good book, but I was just nerding out to people like, dude, you should watch fucking Big Trouble in Little China. This movie rules. The Blob remake. Oh hell yeah.
Yeah.
Just selling other people movies that I wasn't gonna pick up, but this lady walks up to me and she's like, this Valley Girl accent, had it been like, 40s. She's like, so you're really into movies. I'm like, yeah. And she's like, well, I've got a ton of movies. I was like, really? And she's like, yeah, I want to sell them. Okay, come over. Here's my address. Like, okay. No, she invited me over. It was the most awkward thing. And she's just like, hey, check it out. And it was, they're all like guy movies. You
Mm-hmm.
know, I think she got divorced or something. She's just offloading all the shit.
Mm-hmm.
But I got The Wrestler on DVD. I love that film.
No, that's a good movie.
And she was like, I was like, okay, cool. Thanks for showing me. She's like, no, there's more in my basement. And I was like, and it was like an unfinished basement. And I was like, this is a little fucking weird.
Yeah.
Hey, she
It,
had a Mortal Kombat cabinet that was sick.
oh, cool.
Yeah, it
Wait,
was not cool.
did you die in the basement? Are you a ghost?
She started saying like, I love that song "Hip to Be Square." I was like, why is there plastic sheeting on the ground? She was probably trying to murder me over my fucking uh
Dogma.
my Dogma Blu-ray.
Yeah.
Yes.
It reminds me of I think in both High Fidelity, the show and the movie, this woman asks like they're like, can you come over and look at this collection? Which is a real thing, but I know guys who run record stores, that is a real thing. Someone will call a record store and like, can you look at this vinyl collection? I'm gonna sell it. And they like that's real, despite I've heard people say it's bullshit, but it's real. Anyway, in case anyone was wondering that. They go over and they're like, how much? And he has like every important vinyl you could imagine, like Beatles, first pressings, like all this stuff. And she's like, you can buy it for $1. I just want it out of my fucking house. I hate my ex-husband. And yeah, that it reminded me of that story because that I was like, wow, that sucks for that guy. But I guess she didn't want it. But I think he only took a few because he morally didn't feel like that was the right thing to do or something, as I recall. Or in the show, she felt morally it wasn't the right thing to do. But whatever. Same story, basically.
They really don't sell like a lot of media like cons anymore. It kind of bums me out because like they used to sell like animation cells, a couple cons, but I didn't really have the money then, but I do now.
Yeah.
But they really don't sell that sort of things. And I
They
go
don't?
for the comic books. No, like I went to MomoCon this year and they didn't have anything.
Oh man. They used to. I mean, I went to two MomoCons pre-pandemic, and I guess I did the virtual one in 2020. I'm sure that doesn't count. But they used to sell stuff and sell media, but it was kind of on the out because like media sales don't really mean anything anymore. It's like kind of everything's moving digital. But I thought animation sales would continue because that's a thing, a collectible. But I guess unfortunately not. That sucks. So is
Yeah.
Momocon still cool? I don't I.
It was okay. Saber Spark was there, but I didn't see him. I kept circling by his booth now and then, and
He had
I
a
want to say
booth?
hey. He
I
had a
didn't know about
booth.
that. Oh man,
Yeah.
I don't know. I was invited to that one, but it's hard to get away with the two kids. So
Yeah.
I don't know. I would like to go back at one point in my life, but I don't know. It's a little different now. So oh well. But maybe one day. Maybe one day.
There's an incredible store in the Venetian. I'm a big Vegas guy. I say
Mhm.
I'm a big Vegas guy. I've only been once, but I think they might have a store in New York and like LA or some. It's called Animazing, and they only sell animation cells and like
Really?
production.
I didn't know about this. Animazing? I'm gonna have to check this out.
It's Animazing. It's fucking incredible because like I went in there, Fantasia cell, Sleeping Beauty cell. They had like original Chuck Jones, like not just like the original like Grinch cells, but the pencil tests as well.
Hmm.
They had Charles Schulz stuff.
Oh wow.
They had the lady there was telling me they had like classic animators come by. I can't remember who exactly, but it was auteurs from like the 90s. It would have been like it wasn't Ralph Bakshi, but it was like that kind of level.
Oh, okay. I mean, I can imagine. I would love to have more of that stuff, but I'm also like, I don't know. it always costs money.
Oh yeah.
That's that's the that's the kicker. But it is cool to look at that stuff. I would love to look at that stuff because it's I don't know. It's amazing to look at like some of the drawings those guys did. Sometimes I'll flip through some of those art of books and be like, oh, how'd you get from there to there? And like looking at their actual pencil strokes and stuff. It's like, I don't know.
I mean, to me, it's just like you see a Fantasia cell, you see like a Snow White cell, and that to me is like an American version of like the Mona Lisa or something.
Oh
It's
yeah.
kind of
Yeah.
dramatic, but it's true.
Oh, that is definitely America's like kind of. I mean, those are films that still get watched. Probably of those decades, probably some of the most watched movies. Um,
I don't even know if like you should even sell those. I mean, I know there's thousands, but like that
well,
stuff belongs in a museum, you know?
it should, but I don't know if Disney or whomever would even restore it. There should be a different exhibit for that kind of stuff, or more galleries for that kind of stuff, because there really isn't, unfortunately. There's not really as many film museums as there as hey, I would like, but
Are there
not up to.
any film museums really? I guess there would be
Uh,
in LA.
there's the LA has the Academy Museum. New York in Queens has the Museum of the Moving Image, which is sort of TV and anything, but it is sort of a film museum, and they have that one's really cool. They have a permanent Jim Henson exhibit, which is great,
Nice.
and they had a Exorcist exhibit, which I would have gone to, but like we usually go with the whole family, and I didn't want to give the kids nightmares, so I didn't go there.
Yeah.
But uh,
Fair.
but it is like we usually everyone goes like once a year, and it's like amazing. And I would go to the Academy Museum had a John Waters exhibit. Um, which I would have loved to have gone to, but I've never been to LA, so maybe one day.
Had a question or two. Let me check it out
Okay,
here.
yeah, let's get.
What's like a really memorable celebrity meeting you had? Like, do you have any like I don't know. I don't know,
Um,
you just walk in the streets and then Steve Buscemi walks up to you and he's like,
I
"Hey,
I've seen a couple. Well, okay, I have one that's like my all timer, but I'll tell a quick one because it's funny. It was like pouring rain. It's like pouring rain. I'm like running to the subway and I'm like looking all around, like, because there's like so much activity. It's in New York. And I look over and I see someone in the doorway. And then I turn and then in my head, I'm like, is that fucking F. Murray Abraham? And then
wow."
I turn back and I was like, that's fucking F. And I don't say it, but I'd like definitely look back because there's like chaos going on. And my brain's like, is that holy shit? Is that F. Murray Abraham? And I look back and he looks at me and then he just like darts away in the pouring rain. And I didn't have my phone out. It was just like this is chaos, but holy shit, is that the dude? And it was it was anyway. That's my funnier one. But this is funny, but it's like I guess sad or whatever in a sense. I did a Q and A. I did the audio for a Q&A with James Gandolfini.
Wow.
This is a long time ago. James, it was
Holy shit.
before Where the Wild Things Are. I can confirm that part. So everyone's freaking out at this. I worked at this school and they're doing a Q&A. And most celebrities who show up just do the thing and leave, mostly because sometimes they're dicks, sometimes they have tight
Sure.
schedules. I did one with James Franco, and like his assistants were like this the whole time, like, or sorry, pointing at their watches because he had to like run to a contractually obligated rehearsal. All that, anyway, sorry, I'm like name dropping too frequently. But the James Gandolfini one, well, this is important to the story. He at the end, everyone else darted out. He took every picture, like every autograph. Like by the time I was just cleaning up, it was just him and the guy interviewing him. Like that's how long he outlasted everyone. And he came up to me and said, "Hey, you did a good job. Thanks for making everything sound nice," and shook my hand. And I was like, I hadn't watched The Sopranos. I only sort of knew him from some movies. And I was like, he shocked me because I didn't expect that. I was like, I'm just some dude in the booth, like whatever.
Yeah.
And he was nice enough to shake my hand and say, like, "Hey, good job, man. I think this worked out well." And then he like walked out, and I was like, that was pretty cool. I like
Yeah, it
that
is cool.
one. Okay.
I have one and I can never say it on the podcast, but let me pull up the quote. I can never really say it because people don't understand it. You gotta be a certain niche
Okay.
um to get it. And I think hopefully you would, otherwise this will completely fall flat. But so many years ago, I was an intern for like this agency. It was very small,
Hmm.
but we did marketing for independent cinema.
Okay.
And my boss's friend was this guy who was like he produced a film, a little film, from a long time ago, and I heard the name. I immediately did like that Leo DiCaprio like point, Once Upon a Time in Hollywood,
Hmm.
because my boss said, "Okay, guys, we're gonna have a Zoom meeting. We're gonna meet my friend," and he said, "Yeah, my friend. He's a Zach Norman as Sammy and Chief Zabu." Do you know where that comes from? Do you
Where's
know?
wait, where he looks very familiar.
He's on Mystery Science Theater 3000, or that joke was
What episode is that?
like a handful. Whenever they show like a newspaper clipping,
Oh my god, that
it's like,
I know what you're talking about, but I can't. Oh my god, sorry.
but it's like a random variety ad, and they keep referencing it throughout the series. And those are the Joel days,
I
I
remember that.
believe.
Oh
Yeah,
my god, sorry. You like I laughed because I was like I knew the joke, but I happen that a lot with Mystery Science Theater people. I'll be watching a movie, I'll just start laughing. I'm like, I know which one you're from, but there's so many of those episodes that
yeah. I met the Sammy from Chief Zabu, and then I watched Chief Zabu, and he was a really nice guy. That was an interesting film because they made it in like the 80s, and it's like Alan Alba, if that was his name,
Mhm,
from MASH, and one of the mob wives from Godfather, she was in it. So it was
mhm,
like a who's who of like my dad's favorite movies and shows from like the 70s, and it didn't get made. It was like lost media.
mhm,
Um, and to get funding, uh, this guy would basically like put his headshot in Variety and be like, "Yeah, come on, you want to send me some money to finish this." And it didn't work out for years and years. And then I think 2016, like 30 years after they made most of it, they're able to get the funding to finish it.
mhm.
So it's a really cool, like lost media
Okay, now I'm
story,
curious.
film preservation story.
That's interesting. That's interesting. Wow. That okay. That's I like yours because it's like wow.
And then this guy, he was, yeah, that was the thing because I didn't know him from that. I knew him from the Mystery Science Theater joke.
Yeah.
He was in Romancing the Stone. He was Danny DeVito's brother, if you
Oh,
remember that.
yeah. I think I have a more. Well, I have a more obscure. Well, we shouldn't just do celebrity name drops. We should move on. Probably. I have another obscure one, but I feel like I don't want to. Or should I tell this? I'm sorry.
You should tell. Why not?
Okay.
Maybe I'll know it. What
So
do
I'm
they do?
watching. I'm watching the Oscars. I don't know what year this is. I think it's 2014.
This is a
Let's
good
say.
year.
Maybe it's 24. I don't fucking know. But I'm watching it. My friends, we're having a, we used to have Oscar parties and we're having people come over and this girl comes over and she's like blonde and she's really funny. And we get along with her. And then afterwards, someone goes, "Do you know who she is?" And I was like, "I don't know. This funny girl at the party. I don't know." And they're like, "Do you ever see sorry, the incest coffee ad?" And I was like, "What?" And like, so it's the girl from the incest coffee. But she's like really nice, and I feel bad anytime that makes the round. You know the what coffee company is it? Do you know what the brother and sister? And she's like, He's like, "You're my present this year."
Holy fuck. Yeah, that's a
Yeah,
memory unlocked. Yeah,
I've
holy
met,
shit.
I met her. I always found that ad like weird, and but she's done like so many interviews. Like she hates brought up because it like obviously it's like weird, and she didn't write it. But she was very nice. So if anyone sees her, give her some respect because I was like, she was really funny. I had a good time hanging out with her, and yeah, that's my obscure. You'd have to know celebrity, I guess. You know.
I've never met the guy. My dad's never met the guy, but I'm informed that one of the henchmen in Die Hard is related to me. It's the guy who like
Interesting.
watches, he's on the computer the whole time watching like football or something.
Oh, okay, that's a cool one. I like
Allegedly,
that.
I'm related to him, but I've never met him. I do like on his IMDb, it's clear like he edits it himself, which I
Hmm.
mean we you do, but
Yeah.
um I don't know. He has a bunch of pictures on there, but it's just like, oh yeah, this is me on Family Guy. Hell yeah. And there was
Although
another what?
I don't know, I'll give him some respect in that there's so many times where like if you're making stuff and being creative, you know like let me just put this in there to give me like get the star meter up a little or like help me get that one roll or so. I was like, I don't know. I used to joke about that stuff, and now I would totally be that. If I was on Family Guy, I'd be like, I mean, I was guys, remember 2 years since I was on Family Guy. Come on. Like I'd be
Yeah,
like,
it
I'd remind people to I don't know, be like, hey, you'll check out my video, maybe. Okay, sure. And so like I don't know. I know that's sad to most people, but I'm like, hey, whatever you gotta do. You
yeah,
know.
it's I hey, I feel like I'd do the same if I was a Family Guy. There
Yeah.
was like an up and coming actor who I saw his movie. And I was just like looking, hey, what else has this guy been in? It was some like indie thing. And I can't remember who it was, but it was really funny because in the trivia, it said like I guess he starred in it or was like, second billing.
Yeah.
And it was really funny because the trivia on it was something to the effect of like so and so actor really regrets being in this piece of shit. Uh, he would like it scrubbed off, but that's life. And it's clearly like he wrote that.
I like that. I love that. That's funny.
Yeah,
That's funny.
that's a great trivia. That's when I get that movie's trivia at trivia night, I know exactly
Which
it. That
which to
one
do.
trivia.
Yes, yeah.
If I was a director of that movie, bro, I'd just end my career right there. I'd be like, fuck.
Oh no, I'd be like, whatever, let's do it. Let's, sell it that way. Be like, this is how, I don't know. Josh Hartnett hated being in this movie. So here we go. Let's do it. I thought he was pretty good.
Man, I don't because then you can't show it to anyone. And they're like, "Oh yeah, I'm in a movie. Check it out. It's on IMDb." And then they do, and it's just the actor,
Well, what
right? Like
what
this sucked.
what was that Leonardo DiCaprio Tobey Maguire movie that like um
It was like a 20s thing, right?
it was no, not Great Gatsby. It's like banned because they just did this improv thing and this guy made it with them and in the 90s and it gets released in foreign countries but they always block it in America and they like
Really?
hate this. Oh yeah, it's like this real
I didn't know that.
it's this real and like they're improv and there's a lot of famous actors when they're young in it. It was like made in like 96, 90s, somewhere in the late 90s. And I've always wanted to like do a video on it, but a lot of people have because of how famous they are and stuff. But like they've sued the fuck out of this guy, which stinks because I'm like, come on, you guys, like, you're doing the Streisand effect, where if it was just out, none of us would have given a shit. But like you've made it into more notorious. It's something like if you go through their IMDb and you're like in the late 90s, you're like, what is that? That's the movie.
Oh, okay. I don't know what you're talking about, but I know what you're meaning to say.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
I forget the title, but it's real. I mean, I think you can find it online at this point, but it is a fascination of a lot of people because of that. But they hate that movie to the point where like their lawyers stop it from being released in America. So
What's so bizarre to me is like Escape from Tomorrow. That's a great example of that.
yes,
The found footage Disney World. For the audience who don't know, they filmed a movie in Disney World and they made it like a horror film, and then like it's on YouTube still, I think.
I don't know. I saw it when it was on demand, so I have no clue
Yeah, I
its
think the
availability now.
full thing is on YouTube, but like they filmed on there without permission, and Disney just ignored it and it just faded to obscurity. And it's not like he was ever going to make money off of that anyway, but
Well, I think he was banking on them suing him, and they
yeah.
they basically played chicken. And I was like, you guys are smart because that like. And the other thing I the only I don't I whenever I reviewed it when it came out. I thought it was kind of interesting, but like the rise of the theme park YouTuber has really ruined the reputation of that movie, because I know so many people are like, oh, that's horrible because Tourist Guide 47 hated it because they needed to make content this week, and they of course watched it and reviewed it, and of course didn't like it because it perceives the park in a negative way. But which I think is unfortunate. I thought it was kind of inventive, like the whole idea of like
Yeah.
losing your mind when you're on a family vacation, which usually happens not because of the crazy stuff. It's usually because somebody has a temper tantrum. But I like I like his version anyway.
Well, it's weird because like if you've seen the have you seen the Florida Project?
Yes, I love that movie.
I love that movie too. I'm very excited for Sean Baker's next film, but that is
Yeah,
so weird because like he filmed at Disney World at the end of the film
he
and he
did.
got away with it.
I've noticed that they aren't suing with that. I don't know. I kind of think Disney's like picking their battles. Although the recent Disney Plus woman who was choking at or died at the Disney restaurant, and they argued that because he signed up for a Disney Plus account for a few months, he had to forego a lawsuit. I was like, well, Disney lawyers still find a way to be evil. So as much as I'm like, wow, I'm surprised they're letting these movies go. They're like, don't you fucking dare! I will just, I will destroy you, and trying to sue us for your dead wife. How dare you at our restaurant?
Yeah, I mean
Whatever.
that was an amazing movie, an amazing ending, but it's not like I don't know. It's weird Disney was I guess cool with it because that I lived in Orlando and that wasn't my reality,
Hmm.
but even as a when I was a little kid living there, you saw poverty, you saw that sort of thing.
Yeah.
So for me, it really hit hard. And then moving to Georgia,
Well,
people think living in Orlando is living at Disney World. I'm like, fucking no, it's not.
no, it. Well, I don't know that ending. Well, I mean, we're already talking about it, so spoilers to everyone, I guess. But what made that ending really like I found really shocking. Not well, okay. I know people have problems with that ending, but what I found interesting about that ending, because like I think it's been a little bit, but I think her mom's like arrested, and then she has this fantasy that's obviously not. I read it as not real. But when I was a kid, like if something, not that my life wasn't as bad as that movie, but if something bad would happen, I would totally go into that dissociative fantasy thing, and I was like, that was like a very hard it's like that's a hard ending because it's just like she didn't want to deal with her mom uh going away. She was like, I ran away with my friend to Disneyland, and that's like what how kids think. They're like,
Yeah,
me and my friend or even like simple things, like they're like in my dream me and my friend went to the library and we danced with a cat and stuff. It's like that's how kids deal with things. And it was like almost what's funny is that's very real, neo-real or realistic kind of movie, or that's what it's going for. And I felt like that was almost more real because that or the most real part, because I was like, yeah, I remember being a kid and like, your parents are arguing or something and you're just thinking about how you're running on the beach with your friends and like, and I found that to be anyway, I find that ending to be super powerful. And maybe that's why Disney moved away, or maybe they just like were like, I'm too busy suing dead people, leave me alone.
yeah. I mean, it's a powerful ending. Yeah, this girl, CPS comes to like take her to like a foster family and like
Oh,
arrest her
that's
mom. So she has like that was what's crazy because then it changes to like a handheld camera and you
yeah,
just like follow, this kid running and she's running on the highway and running shit. And then like she's at Disney World.
yeah.
And I just remember being in college when it came out and someone very audibly yelling, "What the fuck?"
Yeah. Well, it's also
Because it
that
was.
the,
It's kind
the
of out of left field. And you think about it, you're like, man,
it did
wow.
the same thing that uh the Escape from Tomorrow also did, because they just brought consumer cameras. And now you
Yeah.
just have a phone, but at the time people weren't using phones as much for video. So I know if you just I mean Disney was like, well, what are we going to do? stop every consumer camera from capturing family moments. Like, there's no way they could
Yeah.
stop it. So, you know.
That must have been cool shit. Like if you were at Disney World that day and then you're watching this movie, you're like, holy fuck, there I am.
Oh yeah, that would be cool. I think about that. I've heard that happens with certain like footage of Disney parks and stuff. They're like, "Oh, crazy. I was there that day." Then there's me. There's my mom and stuff, you know.
Yeah. I guess last question here. What is your favorite like cinematic experience you've ever had or most memorable for better or worse? Like was anything crazy happen at like a
I have a lot of
screening or
I have a lot of crazy movie theater stories.
you have like a favorite one?
Hmm, I guess I'll veer on the positive. Well, recently I did get to watch Furiosa at like this really great large format theater in Times Square that seemingly no one knows about, and that was really nice. But that's not. It's like I had a neat time. Is not what you wanted. Okay,
That's respectable though. Hey, that's pretty good.
that's like kind of like that was neat. But no, here I'll give you the cool one. Uh, I saw Warriors in Baltimore at the Charles Theater. It's a midnight show, and when they used to do midnight shows, when I was seeing them in the 2000s, you kind of had to know somebody to know. Like I saw Napoleon Dynamite, and I think like we got high in the right outside, and then we walked in and saw Napoleon Dynamite, and we all fell asleep. Anyway, it was like that kind of vibe, and no one would be in there. And if you know the Charles, it's in the old theater, not one of the newer ones, and they're going to show the Warriors. And if you know Baltimore, there's some gangs there. I don't know if you heard, but
Really?
yeah,
The Warriors
the
come out to
Warriors,
play?
the war. Well, no, sorry, there's gangs. I mean, in Baltimore, and I go in, and the theater's packed. And if you know how the movie starts, it's like Osiris, and he's doing his thing. And I don't even think we get to them doing the cool intro with them like leaving Coney Island on the subway, and a massive gang fight happens. And supposedly, according to my friends who has maintained, I asked him a year or two ago, and he says a bottle went right by my head. I don't remember this, but I'll maintain my cool points for that. There were definitely like things flying around us. It was an epic fight. The theater
Whoa.
kicked. They're like, everybody's in a fucking gang. Get the fuck out of this fucking theater. I don't care about Osiris. That's not real. Shut the fuck up. Nobody cares. Get out. And like pretty much the whole theater leaves. And they're like, is anyone in here in a gang? And we're like, no. And I think it was like 10 people left. And then we proceeded to watch literally the rest of the movie. It's like I think Osiris had not been shot yet. Like if you know the Warriors, I think this happened like maybe very early on.
Yeah, it's like the first 5 minutes or
Yeah.
something. Yeah.
So the rest of the time, very, very easy. Very nobody was there. Everybody had our feet up on the chair, like everyone would like could like stretch out, had lots of room because the gangs all had an epic fight. Supposedly there was a fight outside while we were watching the movie. I a lot of it is more rumor and myth, but I did see the epic fight at the beginning of the Warriors. So that's maybe my coolest one I can think of right now. And it was a good movie. I have a lot other ones that are bad movies, but I decided
Yeah, yeah. Gang battle happened during the fucking Warriors. It's like
oh
that's
yeah.
like if you were watching Twisters at a fucking
And it was
drive-in theater, and like here comes an actual tornado hit. Holy shit.
yeah, that was interesting. And it's in like a rough anyway. That's
I
my
don't have
coolest theater.
I don't have a story as cool as that. I don't
Oh,
have a
sorry.
life story as cool as that.
Oh, yeah. Well, growing up in Baltimore, you get a few of those.
I don't know. I mean, I saw Oppenheimer 70 millimeter IMAX, and that was pretty hype.
That was cool.
That was awesome. I mean, I guess the coolest one was I think it was on Christmas Day. I saw the Hateful Eight Roadshow in
Oh,
Atlanta. When they did
the
that, that was sick.
the road show was on. I have the book somewhere in this
I still have
bookcase.
mine. Walton
I
Goggins came to my screening.
oh, cool. Nobody really, but I did get to go to the road show. But it was man. that was a cool roadshow, but I don't know. I felt like him. I know this still gets talked about, but him trying to get a movie out during Force Awakens Christmas, I was like, Tarantino, everybody left that Christmas except you. And then you're like, why? He's always getting upset. And I almost and be like, I feel you on this, dude, but like of all the Christmases, this was not the one. But I'm glad he did the roadshow. The roadshow is amazing, but yeah, he was fighting an uphill battle to keep theaters because I think I saw it in a New York theater with tons of theaters, and like half was Force Awakens.
Oh yeah, yeah,
It
good
was like,
times.
but I respect that he wanted the Cinerama Dome, and I respect that. But it was like I remember telling people I saw Hateful Eight. They're like, I saw Force Awakens for the fourth time, and you're like, oh fucking hell, Jesus, this is
Yeah.
harsh. This is
Uh
harsh.
yeah, real shame about the film critic not coming out ever. I
Uh,
heard a leak that a prominent film critic was starring, Jim Gisriel.
oh no, no,
Yeah.
it's I would
Whoa.
I would
Sorry for
love
your
that.
loss, Jim.
I would love that. I would love that. I mean, there's all this talk of like it was going to be Kale, and I was like, I don't want it to be Kale so much. I would like a movie about a film critic. I had heard his original idea, which I really liked, was and it film history wise works so well. Is a guy goes to World War II and is there in Europe for a little past World War II, and if you what one of the reasons auteur theory really hit is because France didn't get American movies for like all of World War II. And that's like during World War II, it's like Citizen Kane, Casablanca, like all the classic movies hit around that time. And then they all got released within like a year. And I was like, that's
Best
probably,
year ever.
yeah, that's like why in France, like Truffaut, and firmly believe that is why French New Wave happened because those guys were like, movies are amazing, dude. Like
Oh yeah.
everyone's like, I saw Citizen Kane, and then I saw, Casablanca. I think there was like I read somewhere there was like a month between those two, and I think just those two alone, and then you get Wizard of Oz, and then you get this. But so the original idea was this guy goes to Europe, sees, what's going on and all the new Hollywood stuff, and then comes back and thinks all movies suck now because obviously like you can't keep up with that. Like that was not even Hollywood would not release things like that, but it was just how that worked out. And I thought that was an interesting premise of like the post World War II best years of our lives thing of like there was a huge disappointment coming home when they came back from World War II, which is under reported now, and I get it's like a little divot in history. But I thought that was a really cool idea of like showing Hollywood history and like a personal person. But I don't know if he just Tarantino says a lot of things, and
Yeah.
it's like same with his. I think Inglorious Bastards was going to be Bruce Willis, Arnold Schwarzenegger, Stallone, and Van Damme at one point. So who knows? Who knows with that guy? I think he
Yeah.
just realized. I think he's gonna milk this last film for a long time. That's what I think.
Hey man, I fucking love Jay Sherman and the critic as much as the next guy, but in my last film, I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know. I also kind of think he doesn't know what he wants to do. So
Audience, everybody watch The Critic. With
yes,
Jay Sherman, incredible show, exclusively on Crackle.
is it really on Crackle? I
It
didn't know
is
that.
on. That's how I watched it. I watched a lot of movies on Crackle.
Oh wow,
It's the
Crackle's
OG
still
Tubi.
is Crackle still there?
I fucking love Crackle. Yeah,
Oh wow,
still
good.
there.
Hey, wow, that's hardcore. You like Crackle?
They, they've got great movies. Well, I use plural liberally. They
Hmm.
have great one movie, but their slop is incredible. They had when I was in high school, man, I just watched insane levels of slop. But there was good stuff though. That's how I saw heavy metal first time.
Oh, cool.
Heavy metal fucking rules.
Heavy metal's great.
Harold and Kumar. I was just
Oh
going down the H's. It's like Harold and Kumar fucking rule.
yeah. Hey,
Oh, what's the next thing? Heavy metal, awesome.
the first and the last Harold and Kumar are great.
I like the third one. Okay, that's okay.
I mean I don't know. It comes up around a lot on Christmas. The second one's not my favorite, but I like the first one and the Waffle Bot. It rules. So
Well, it's about closing time for the rock shop. Jim, thank you so much for coming on.
Thank you for having me.
Where can the audience find you?
I'm on YouTube. Just search my name, Jim Gisriel. Do you have like a link in the description with this? I don't know how
Yeah, I
this.
could put a link in.
Okay, sorry,
Yeah.
not to put you on the spot. Sorry, but you can follow the link. I have tons of movie reviews, and I do a stream usually once a week. I talk about movie news and all that cool stuff, and you can check it out and subscribe if you would like to.
Awesome. Yeah. Yeah, check out Jim's reviews. Yeah, Beetlejuice is coming soon. I assume Beetlejuice review is coming thereafter, so he's gonna fucking summon Beetlejuice on his channel. Holy shit.
Probably,
Yeah, oh.
I'll probably have tons of Tim Burton Beetlejuice content.
Holy hell, he's off screen right now. What the fuck are you doing here, Michael Keaton? Surprise third guest.
I They do a third one, it'll just be Beetlejuice three times,
Yeah. In
probably.
3D. Whoa, that's coming back.
Is it? Maybe.
Nah.
Only for Avatar
Yeah.
movies. That's
Yeah.
it.
Okay, well, yep, Rock Shop's closing down, so take it easy.